The accomplishment reports of the Department of Human Settlements and Urban Development and National Housing Authority. At this point, I'd like to call on Secretary Edel Rosario, and after him, the General Manager John Escalada to present their agency accomplishment. You may start, Ed.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Senator Bongo, ES Bingbong Mayor Deha, Cabinet Secretaries, GM June, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Mr. President, tonight, I'll be presenting the housing sector accomplishments under the Duterte administration from 2016 to 2021. And the basis of our accomplishment report will be the target given by the Philippine Development Plan from 2017 to 2022. So I will cover the key accomplishments of the housing sector from 2016 to 2021, and on the second part, give a status of the ongoing Marawi rehabilitation. Next slide, please. Mr. President, the Department of Human Settlements and Urban Development ay pinakabata na department sa buong bureaucracy because when you signed the Republic Act 11201 creating the Department of Human Settlements, it was on February 14 of 2019. After 33 years and 3 decades of several attempts in previous Congresses, for the first time, na-approve po ang proposed bill creating the Department of Human Settlements during your term. And it was February 14, Valentine's Day, as a gift by the President to 81% of Filipino families who wish to have a house of their own. And before we have the HUDC, which is only a coordinating council, ngayon po meron tayong full-fledged department who manages housing, human settlement, and urban development of our country. Next slide, please. Ang National Shelter Program po natin ay binubuo ng tatlong major components. Ito po yung regulations, finance, and production. These three major components of the National Shelter Program is being undertaken by the following agencies. Ang department po ang in charge sa regulatory aspect, ang finance, ang Pag-ibig Fund or HDMF, the National Home Mortgage Finance Corporation, and Social Housing Finance Corporation. Ang production ay ginagawa naman ng National Housing Authority. Now, pagka nagkaroon po ng problema between developers and home buyers at nagkaroon ng issues among homeowner associations, we have about 25,000 homeowner associations nationwide. Ang re-resolve po ng issues ay ang Human Settlement Adjudication Commission, all under the department as attached agencies. Okay. Next slide, please. Ito po ang housing production ng department from January 2016 to June 2021. 1,076,277 housing units produced and financed from 2016 to June 2021. Ang target po ng department to be accomplished until 2022 is 1.2 million. Kaya po ang ating accomplishment ngayon is 84%. And with this 84%, 1.7 million, 07, 96% of housing units are socialized. Ito po yung pinaka-mababa na ang price ceiling ay 580,000. At yung low cost or economic housing na ang price ceiling po ay 1.7 million. So ito po yung mga bahay na binibili ng mga, sabi natin na low-income families and the poorest of the poor. And we are 12% higher than the previous administration, Mr. President. Now, this is the comparison from the previous administration's data since 1975 to 2021, because it was only in 1975 that we started gathering data with regards to the housing produced by the housing sector. So during the Marcos years, the annual average is 13,576. Corazon Aquino, 59,948. The term of President Ramos, 147,000. President Estrada, 108,000. President Arroyo, 96,000. During the term of President Aquino, 174,000. And during your term, Mr. President, our yearly average is 195,687 units. Now, this is the housing production of all the key shelter agencies. The National Housing Authority, the Home Development Mutual Fund or the Pag-ibig Fund, and the Social Housing Finance Corporation. Our target is 1,280,253, Mr. President. And as of June of 2016, from 2016 to June 2021, we have already accomplished 1,076,277. This is 84% accomplishment as of June of 2021. So meaning to say, Mr. President, meron pa tayong 6 na buwan for 2021 plus 1 year in 2022. So we are certain that we can accomplish more than 100% of our PDP target for 2022. Now, these are the accomplishments of our attached agencies. For the National Housing Authority, it was able to provide 336,493 housing assistance and resettlement nationwide, composed of for resettlement programs, ito yung mga informal settler families, 63,366 units. Calamity assistance for those affected by the numerous calamities hitting our country, 139,303. And housing for government employees, 8,419. And settlements upgrading, 8,924. Plus assistance provided under the Emergency Housing Assistance Program of NHA, 115,649 families. Sir, this is the Social Housing Finance Corporation major accomplishment. Ang ginagawa po ng Social Housing Finance Corporation is what we call Community Mortgage Program. This is community-based modality wherein homeowners associations in different barangays nationwide, where once they group themselves into homeowner associations, and if they are living in lots not they own, either owned by the government or owned by the private sector, the Social Housing Finance Corporation will assist that homeowner association so that the association will request for a loan for the from the Social Housing Finance Corporation to purchase the lot and assist them in the provision of land development and housing construction. So this is community-based. And from 2016 to June 21, it was able to assist 104,334 informal settler families nationwide.
Yung ba yung sa baba, Kaligobak, yung ba yung mga bahay, Ed?
Yes, sir. Nagpapagawa, sir, sila ng mga, ngayon meron silang high density housing, just like NHA, and also they are also providing horizontal housing.
Okay.
Mr. President, I would like to emphasize that during this administration, wala po tayong maririnig na substandard housing or substandard housing project because we committed ourselves, the whole housing sector, to ensure that there will be no substandard housing during our administration.
That's nice.
Next, please. Sir, the National Home Mortgage Finance Corporation is involved in the secondary market. If there is a certain project, both private or government, the National Home Mortgage Finance Corporations will purchase the accounts of that project. If NHA has a project and he is willing to have it purchased by the National Home Mortgage Finance Corporation amounting, let's say, to 1 billion, the home mortgage will purchase that account so that NHA will have now another 1 billion to produce more housing units. So this is the role of the National Home Mortgage Finance Corporation in the secondary market. They don't produce, but they provide additional liquidity to producers of housing. And they were able to purchase 4.3 billion worth of housing units, 15,810 housing units worth 4.3 billion. Next, please. Now, this is a snapshot of the Pag-ibig Fund. Pag-ibig Fund, Mr. President, is owned by the members. Although it's a government-owned and controlled corporation, all of us are owners of the Pag-ibig Fund because of our 100 peso contribution every month. And this has been going on since the late 1980s when we started the monthly contribution, mandatory contribution of 100 pesos of all employed individuals. And we now have 13,179,566 active members. 74.7% comes from the private sector, 18% are government employees, 5% OFWs, 0.12% household workers, and self-employed, other working groups, and voluntary members, 2.1%, to compose the 13.1 billion active members. We are saying active members because in 2020, it was already about 14 million, but because of the pandemic, we were lowered to 13 million, a reduction of almost 1 million, Mr. President. From a 100 peso contribution, we are now worth, the total assets of Pag-ibig is 669.8 billion pesos. And starting 2017, Mr. President, na-breach po natin ang net income ng sa 30 billion in 2017, 2018, 2019, and even 2020. First time na nag-breach ang Pag-ibig Fund ng net income in 2017 from 30.2 billion, 33.17, 34.37 in 2019, and 31.69 billion in 2020. And these are the housing loans released from 2012 to 2020. Notice the increase of housing units being financed by Pag-ibig Fund. It reached 86.7 billion worth of housing units released in 2019. And in 2020, our projection that it would breach 100 billion. But because of the pandemic, nabawasan po tayo at naging 63.8 billion only, bumaba ng 27%. But remarkably, in 2021, Mr. President, even though as a COVID situation tayo, sa first semester of the year, umabot na po tayo ng 52.2 billion ang housing take-out. Ibig sabihin po nito, Mr. President, even though we are in the COVID situation, we might breach the 100 billion this year, 2021, despite the pandemic condition. Napakita po natin ngayon na ang housing sector ay very robust at very active. Maybe ang assessment namin, yung mga nakasave sa bangko, ini-invest na sa bahay para maging safer pa sila at magkaroon ng sariling bahay. Now, we have numerous COVID-19 intervention, but with regards to the 5 months moratorium, because of the Bayanihan 1 and 2, the whole housing sector had a moratorium of 16.6 billion that benefited 8.89 million members. Ito po yung hindi natin kinolekta dahil nga tinamaan ng pandemic in 2020. So instead of receiving 16.6 billion, ito po ay naiwan sa mga nagbabayad para magamit po nila during the COVID period. At ang bigyan natin ng benepisyo ay 8.89 million nationwide. Now, the housing need estimate and economic and social impact of housing. Based on the study conducted, the housing need for both formal and informal sector is 16.6 million from 2017 to 2022. And of this number, 3.7 million are coming from the informal settler families. Ito po yung nakatira sa sarili na hindi nila pag-aari ang lupa, nakatira sa danger zones. Now, if we are to address this 3.7 informal settler families, we need a budget estimate of 1.85 trillion pesos. And in order to solve this, we have recommended through the National Housing Production and Financing Act proposal that was spearheaded by the National Housing Authority, we need 50 billion every year for the next 20 years in order to reach or meet this housing need of informal settler families. Ang problem po kasi, Mr. President, we need 50 to 60 billion yearly, but we are only being given about 4 to 5 billion a year since 2017. So malaki po ang gap ng amount being given to us, saka yung talagang requirement namin so that we can really make a dent or make a difference in the housing sector. Now, we have crafted our 20-year roadmap that this is our vision in order to bridge our housing need. And these are the things that we will do on the near term, mid-term, and long term. This is a 20-year roadmap, but all this is largely dependent on the approval of the proposed act of allocating at least 50 billion per year for the housing sector. Now, the economic and social impact of housing, based on the study conducted, 81% po ng Filipino families ang may dream na magkaroon ng sarili niyang bahay. And for us in the housing sector, we consider shelter as a right of every Filipino family, and home ownership is an option. Ito po yung remaining 19% na gusto lang mag-rent out at ayaw niyang magkaroon ng sariling bahay. So we consider home ownership as an option, but it is a right of every Filipino family. And in housing, it is an economic pump primer because it has a 3.44 multiplier output that affects 80 allied industries. That for every 1 peso investment in housing, it will yield 3.44 pesos because it will trigger economic activities in other 80 allied industries. And the housing production generated 9 million jobs from 2016 to 2020, contributing about 5% of the Philippines' total employment. Ang housing po, napakabilis na magkaroon ng pump priming activity sa ating economy dahil immediately makapag-hire tayo ng labor force at yung triggering effect niya for allied industries ay instant. And in the social impact, in a study conducted, it was shown that better housing improves health conditions, peace and order, productivity, and quality of life. So that ends my presentation regarding housing. I will proceed now on the Marawi rehabilitation update. Mr. President, actually last March of 2020, we were here together with the LGU, civil society organizations, and TFBM officials because of the clamor of the populace to fast-track the rehabilitation of Marawi City. And it was during that where you presided, napag-usapan po natin dito at nakita na kaya nagkakaroon ng hindi namin magawa kaagad dahil hindi namin ma-access kaagad yung pondo. So after that meeting, April and May, nakuha na po namin ang SARO nakuha na namin ang NCA from DBM. So July and August of last year, 1 year and 2 months before, ito na po ang makikita natin sa Marawi City. Ito po yung harapan ng lake. Ito po yung mga devastated area. This is actually a reclaimed area. About 10 hectares. Kinuha na po natin yan dahil mga illegal yung mga nakatira doon dahil wala naman silang titulo at ito ay reclaimed lot. Hindi ito titled. At tatayuan po natin ng mga facilities na ito po ang nagiging itsura ngayon all the way to the right side of the lake. Meron po tayong School of Living Tradition, meron tayong museum, the Peace Memorial, and the Convention Center and Sports Complex na ipapagawa ng National Housing Authority. Now, during that meeting also last March, Mr. President, you directed me to focus on the construction of the mosque. Dahil at that time, problema po namin, wala kaming pondo para sa construction ng mosque. Ito po yung Grand Mosque in 2017. Destroyed, talaga pong lumang-luma, yan ang itsura. I was there 2 weeks ago, Mr. President. Ito po yung shot na nakuha ko. Napakaganda ng Grand Mosque ngayon. Before, ang 3rd floor saka ang basement, hindi usable dahil hindi naman naayos. Pero yung pinaayos na po natin. At ito ngayon, the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd floor, pati yung basement na ayos na rin. And this will be inaugurated on October 17, the day you declared the liberation of Marawi City. Ito po parang nung makita ko, I was so impressed because wordless yung pagkakagawa ng ating contractor. Next slide, please.
I hereby declare Marawi City liberated from the terrorist influence that marks the beginning of rehabilitation of the people. I will see to it that Marawi will rise as a prosperous city.
Despite the bad weather and challenges brought about by the pandemic, the rehabilitation of Marawi City continued through the task force Bangon Marawi along with its 56 member agencies and the Marawi City government. Inside the city's most affected area, TFBM has already completed the repair of Masjid Mantop, Masjid Darussalam, White Mosque, and Marinaot Mosque. Meanwhile, rehabilitation works continue in Grand Mosque along with the reconstruction of Dansalan Batu Mosque. For public infrastructures, the construction of barangay complexes in Tulali, Datunaga, Datu Dansalan, West Marinaot, and Mongkado Kadingilan, construction of maritime outpost, and rehabilitation of Bangalore Bridge and Mapandi Bridge has been completed. Construction of other public infrastructures is also underway. These include the Grand Padian Market with the Ice Plant, Peace Memorial Park, Marawi Museum, School of Living Tradition, 4-story integrated school buildings, Central Fire Station, Traffic Command Center, road networks with solar lamps and underground utilities consists of primary, secondary and tertiary roads, tourist police building, Sarimanok Sports Stadium, Convention Center and Lake Lanao Promenade. The refurbishment of the pumping bridge and the installation of distribution lines in Maa is almost complete. Marawi City General Hospital is also set to rise in the city. Outside the Maa, the government has completed the construction of Central Material Recovery Facility, 18.97-kilometer Marawi Trans-Central Roads Contract Packages 1A, 1B, and 2. Pantarlano del Norte to Marawi City Road, Maulumbaka Ingud Ranaranao Road, Marawi City Fire Substation, PNP Compact 1, Lulud Dimba Bridge, and Rurugagos East Barangay Health Station. Ongoing projects are Salintubig Project, New Marawi City Jail, Marawi City Police Station, Torogan, 20 MVA Power Substation, Marawi Incident Command Center, MSU Perimeter Fence, Solar Street Lights, and Abaca Warehouse with Nursery. A halal slaughterhouse and livelihood training center are also set to rise in the city. In Butig, Lanao del Sur, The construction of the solar power irrigation project and Abaca warehouse with a nursery is almost complete. On the other hand, construction of transitory shelters in Barangay Sagunsongan, Buganga, Rurugagos and Tulay West has been completed. Permanent shelters are also constructed by Social Housing Finance Corporation, National Housing Authority, UN Habitat and Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao. TFBM and its partners also relocated displaced families living in danger zones or near the Agus River or Lake Lanao inside Maa to safer permanent shelters. To date, 109 families are now living in Hadia Village, while 50 families are in Barangay Mipantaw Gadongan and 150 in Darussalam Village. More permanent housing units in Barangays Kilala and Mipantaw Gadongan are also set to be awarded. Moreover, construction of housing units in Barangays Patani continues. The government also continued to provide livelihood support to IDPs. After receiving the livelihood interventions, IDPs started anew with their businesses. They received transitory family support package, livelihood settlement grant, livelihood starter kits, farm equipment and machineries, seed capital, skills training, and shared service facilities, among others. Financial assistance was also given to Marawi siege hostage survivors and bereaved families. Former members of ISIS-inspired Maute group likewise received socio-economic assistance from the government. Meanwhile, homeowners from sectors 1 to 3 in Maa continue to construct or repair their houses after securing permits through Katagum Balay. Those from sectors 4 to 7 will be allowed to repair or build their houses by October this year. The Land Dispute Resolution Committee, headed by MHSD BARM, was also created to provide alternative dispute mechanisms to resolve conflicting land claims among IDPs. Task Force Bangon Marawi, together with the city, provincial, and the BARM government, will continue to work together to improve the lives of IDPs and build back a better Marawi city.
Now, these are the completed projects, Mr. President. Natapos na po natin itong mga projects na to. Total of 30 projects. Next slide, please. These are the projects to be completed by December of 2021 with the different status of accomplishment status and timeline. And projects to be completed by June of 2022. Others will be completed January, April, May, and June of 2022. Next, please. So that ends my presentation, Mr. President.
Thank you, Ed. Ano bang title mo sa ano?
GM Gumier, General Manager.
General Manager Escalada.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Senbong and our Executive Secretary, all the secretaries in attendance, as our Secretary of the DHSUD, Secretary Ed Rosario. Let me continue the presentation of the National Housing Authority. Let me proceed, Mr. President and members of the Cabinet. The NHA is the production arm of the department, and we are very proud to present to you our accomplishments that right now, since 2016 up to 2021, NHA is able to produce 306,493. We also have 129,893. These are all disposed, awarded, and occupied. So that is the very challenging effort right now, Mr. President, Mayor. We need, dapat kailangan ang mga housing after completion dapat matirahan, should be occupied. And we have 894,000 projects completed, and we are able to collect 13.6 billion. So these are all coming from our monthly collections from all the awarded and occupied housing units, from leasable lots under our CI, the Commercial Industrial Estates of the National Housing Authority, because right now NHA also owns a lot of inventories in Quezon City, as well as in other parts of Luzon and even in the whole of the country. Mr. President, we are very proud to report to you that there are only two administrations across the 7 presidents, number 1 during the time of Marcos and your administration, that had a very clear roadmap for housing. What I'm referring to is that during the Marcos regime, they had the BLIS, the Bagong Lipunan for Improvements of Sites and Services. Until now, you can see a lot of those, both horizontal and vertical. But under your administration, our secretary, all of us nag-agree that we have also to brand, at the same time count. Dapat i-brand natin at saka i-count ang production ng Duterte administration, which we call our brand as Balay. Balay means building adequate, livable, affordable, inclusive Filipino communities. Meaning adequate, dapat may water at saka power. Dapat na itubig at saka na ay ilaw. When we say livable, that means it is comfortable, and affordable within the class, within the type of economic status that each and every Filipino can avail of. Kung gusto niya tag 200 pesos, we have a 200 pesos monthly amortization. We also have 500 pesos monthly amortization. We have 600, we have 700, 800, 900, 1,000, and we also have 5,000 and 10,000. So these are all menu of all the available housing models with different financial schemes. Kasi there is no one size fits all in terms of housing. Kung anong kakayahan ng isang Filipino, we shall be able to develop our product as well as our services to respond to the economic situation or conditions of everyone. Next. The NHA, Mr. President, had 10 enabling laws. These are our legal bases all throughout from 1975 during the time of Marcos until the time we had our DHSUD when you approved the creation of the Department of Human Settlement and Urban Development. Next. This one I was referring to earlier, the Bagong Lipunan for Improvements of Sites and Services. That is one roadmap that until now everyone can still remember. And we would like also to forecast and foretell everyone, Mayor, that at the end, next slide please, that at the end, during your administration, we shall also be remembered by our production within which our people will be comfortably living sa mga balay on the houses that we shall be building for them. And we say it is balay, building adequate, livable, affordable, inclusive Filipino communities. Why? Because we do not just build houses, we build communities as well. In the past, they just build core houses. Ngayon, we build houses. There are economic opportunities, livelihood, training centers, wet and dry market, terminals, clinics, and all other facilities that you can find in a very vibrant and sustainable communities. Next. This is the first, I think this is close to your heart, Mr. President, the government employees housing. And we said that we have relaunched the APPNP housing program as government employees housing program with a revitalized service, delivery, and stylish modern design. Why? I think I got the presidential directive coming from you that we have to increase our floor area. Yung sinasabing, yung kinuha ng kadamay na 24 lang.
Maliit po siya doon.
So, sobrang liit. Tatlo yung sinasabi natin, maliit, pangit, at saka malayo. So, yung maliit, palakihin, yung malayo, malapit, yung pangit, pagandahin. So, that is the kind of simple formula that NHA, by our common sense, we thought of so that we will increase the floor area to 100 to 50. We also have the duplex that you've said na gawing 60 ang floor area, 80 ang lot area. And we also have condominium. In Davao City, we shall be turning over the first condominium bigger than any ordinary condominium in the market today.
Are you referring to the condominiums of built for military and police?
That's right, Mr. Chair, Mr. President. This is the AFP-PNP housing. Right now, we have already completed 8,419. We have 12,289 ongoing, Mr. President. We hope to finish all of this by June of 2022, before our term ends. And just recently, June 7, NHA signed a memorandum of agreement with the Department of Labor and Employment that we need to expand our housing program sa ating mga OFWs kasi yung mga mga ambisyon, yung mga wishes, yung mga dreams ng OFWs, at least to have their own houses that they can also be comfortably living after sa tour nila somewhere in the Middle East, Europe, US. So upon their return, we will have their own houses.
May I ask, saan banda yung mga bahay na yan? Yung ano?
Okay, next please. Yeah. So these are all the listing, Mr. President. I think the first 5, with respect to San Miguel, Bulacan, naamang ka dito, you had the groundbreaking, Tarlac, you were there. In Baluin, nandun ka. In Barangay Talumo, nandun ka. And in Talisay, Negros Occidental. And all of these, the first 5 are completed already. And we hope to complete all of this by the term ends in June of 2022. So we are saying right now, 3,126 are completed. The 12,000 will be completed due for turnover by June of 2022. And in fact, sa December, we will have several turnovers already. Kasi yung lahat ng mga housing projects natin, since you had the groundbreaking, we are on the various stages of completion already. I will show you some photos, Mr. President. Ito yung Madayaw. So there are 16 low-rise building already. Nani sa likod si mong balay, dito sa Taal. This is located in Central Park at the back of Our Lady of Lourdes Church. We also have Cabaluay, Zamboanga Place. This is the house and lot that you awarded to Hidilyn Diaz and Yumer Marshall. And this is the Rangerville. This is 100% complete already, and 850 have already been awarded, and they started to pay already. Yung mga sundalo natin sa Rangerville in Tartaro, San Miguel, Bulacan. The next project of NHA, Mr. President, is the resettlement of ISFs affected by the Supreme Court mandamos to clean up the Manila Bay. So notice we have 7 provinces along the Manila Bay: Cavite, Laguna, Rizal, Bulacan, Tarlac, Pampanga, and Bataan. All of these has major river basins and tributaries whose outfall are going to Manila Bay. So right now, we have constructed already 13,423. We have 7,526 ongoing. That's for regions 3 and 4. And some of the photos, Mr. President, are this one. Next. So for the region 4 and region 3, Cavite, Rizal, Laguna, we have 10,000 already completed, 5,437 ongoing. For region 3, comprising of Bataan, Pampanga, Tarlac, and Bulacan, we have 2,641 completed and 2,089. And we are pleased to report to you that occupancy here is very high. Kasi yung mandamos, Mr. President, is an ongoing project. So even before our term, there was already the mandamos directing all the line agencies to clear up danger ways, the Manila Bay. So nandun na yun. But when they produced housing units before, medyo pangit, maliit, at saka hindi masyadong maganda. So even across the street, the new under your administration are fully occupied right now because it's something that is pleasing, comfortable to every Filipino. So yung dissenting pamumuhay na ibigay natin sa ating mga kababayan.
That's nice.
Okay, next. And these are now, notice, Mr. President, all our houses, kahit na ISF ka, formal sector ka, our tiles is always 60 by 60. So, ang sinasabi ko sa ating mga ISF, kung nakapunta ka sa mga malls natin, that is your flooring. So, something that is very encouraging and inspiring to everyone. And we hope so address the issue on privacy, on gender and development. Kasi yung nung araw, core house lang siya, studio type. But here, we are providing 1 partition or 2 partition to address privacy of the spouses or the couples and the children as well. So you can find this in Cavite. Next is we have the resettlement assistance to LGUs. This is very new to everyone, Mr. President. Upon your directive, we were in Eastmincom when you instructed me to increase Our assistance before was only 12 million for 5th and 6th class cities and municipalities. Upon your directive, you said dagdagan, dublihin. So we are giving 25 million grant to all LGUs na may problema na kakulangan sa pabahay. And for the 1st to 4th class municipality and cities and provinces as well, from 24 million, you said dagdagan. So we are providing 50 million for the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th class cities and provinces. But there is a half grant, half loan. In the case of the 12 million to 25 million, it's full grant. But here is kung may 50 million ka, you will pay NHA for the next 15 years the 25 million without interest. So that is a soft loan that we're giving to the LGUs na may mga pangailangan ng pabahay. So right now, we have produced, balik muna. Right now, we have produced 16,755 units completed already, and there are pending requests from LGUs. So 183 projects are ongoing for packaging. Hopefully, when the funds are available, we shall be able to provide them. Next. So these are some of our resettlement assistance program for LGUs. Next. IP. The Indigenous People's Housing is a very aggressive project right now. This is in relation to the support of NHA to ILCAP and ECLIP of the Office of the National Defense as well as the Department of Interior and Local Government. Because I was referring to the idea, Mr. President, na bakit pa ibigay natin yung IP sa mga less premium in terms of social result or social return. So what we're saying is that we will concentrate our IP housing because this is the most vulnerable sector for the recruitment of the CPP in PA. So most of our IP housing right now is a back-to-back program of ECLIP and LCAP. So right now we have already 5,328 units completed, around 118 projects implemented by this administration alone. Remember, Mr. President, 65% of all the IP housing implemented in your administration. Sobrang laki masyado because we put premium to the back-to-back idea of IP, LCAP, and ECLIP. But upon your direction again, before it was only 10 million for every project. We have increased that to 20 million yung naata dito sa Istmincom.
Let me interrupt you. I have a problem in somewhere in Tarlac. Ito yung mga IPs na within the military area. And yung may isa dyan na kanto, may mga IPs dyan, about 300 plus something, na kailangan kong i-relocate because the military is telling them to get out of the area. At gusto kong mabigyan at least ng magandang pabahay rin. Do you have a housing somewhere in Tarlac?
Yeah. Actually, Mr. President, Sinbong and myself together with ES already convened that instruction of yours. I already allocated around 60 to 80 million for the IPs within the Crew Valley. That is where the impact site of our Philippine Air Force is located. That is the SPAO of the Philippine Air Force, the training exercise. Tama ka, Mr. President. There are 3 communities of IPs there. May dilemma lang ngayon because I was raising already the idea that we need to relocate all of them outside the impact area. But apparently, the LGU, as well as some IP leaders, gusto nila doon pa rin. So, the situation right now is, sabi ko doon sa NCIP, as well as the SPAO, in the Crew Valley, to agree really kung saan dapat sila, either outside the impact area and outside the military reservation, or somewhere lang nearer, but still within the military reservation, which is of less risk on their part. Kasi ayaw din ng mga tao na lalabas doon. So the dilemma, Mr. President, is nandun sa ating mga IPs and
Yeah, but the real problem is they have to be out of the range of yung firings being used for military exercises. You have the cannons there, and it must be far enough from the madding crowd. Ika nga, so to speak. Pero hindi sila pwede magbigay ng ano na hindi sila aalis doon. That's not a good... sabihin mo sa kanila, umalis sila, bigyan natin ng bahay.
sige, Mr. President, that's noted. I will be there by next week again to discuss the matter with the SPAO, with the LGU, and the IP leaders.
Okay.
So ito yung sample ng ating mga IP housing ngayon, Mr. President. Next. So we have in Calamansig, in Santa Josefa, then we have in Isabela, and Balingasag, and Malungon as well, plus a lot more. Imagine 65% since the Marcos time until now. We even surpassed 6 other administrations just for us to be aggressively providing IP housing. Next. Resettlement assistance for former rebels. I think this is also close to your heart. The availment of housing units, cash assistance for the construction of housing. So we said NHA, being the member of the TFBL, was tasked to provide housing assistance and or housing units for former rebels under the implementing rules and regulations. Again, we developed several schemes kasi iba-iba din yung pangangailangan ng ating former rebels. Option number 1 is that we have 3 sites right now. Tagum, which we had our groundbreaking and distribution, in Bukidnon and Cagayan de Oro. These are all the major areas where FRs are very aggressive. So we have 3 sites already. So kung kinsa surrender, they can go there and get a house and lot of their choice. The second is a 450,000 cash that we're giving to all the surrenderies. The other one is 100,000 cash for the repair as well as improvement of their own houses na nandun na. So right now, there are 765 former rebels provided with assistance amounting to 107,500,000. Here are some photos, Mr. President. Next. Yusik Mapago, Yusik Yano, and myself, and the whole of the DND, we were in Bohol. This one, we were in Tagum, and this one is in the initiative of our Secretary Ed Anyo for the Kabadbaran rebels in Agusan del Norte. So we had them we gave them the 450,480. So comprehensive social benefits. Again, close to your heart, Mr. President. These are all, again, we develop options for everyone to choose from. So availment of EPP and housing, then we also have availment of housing units under the NHA government employees housing, the 450 cash, the 100,000 assistance. All of these are for the KIA, WIA, KIPO, and WIPO. Meaning, this is killed in action, wounded in action, killed in police operation, wounded in police operation. So right now, we have 962 recipients of those killed in action and wounded in action, and 201 for KIPO, the killed in police operation and wounded in police operation.
Where is that?
Next, I have some pictures here, Mr. President. We gave a lot of this in all of the...
Where they are residents? Okay.
So when they are residing and where the camps as well as their families. So we normally we tender the cash assistance to the killed in action and wounded in action.
I'm happy to hear it.
Next. Yolanda, Mr. President, during your administration, we have completed 148,000. And there will be more, 24,526 by December of 2021, this year, and 21,574 by June of 2022. All in all, we shall be able to close already the target beneficiaries of Yolanda, which was 204,000 in 2014. So we shall, all the governors in, yes.
I'm happy.
Then, under your administration, we called the old Yolanda and the new Yolanda. So, bago na rin yung pabahay na binigay natin. Sabi ko, yung old Yolanda is an irreversible situation. We cannot do, tapos na yun siya. Bidded out na, constructed na, completed na. So, let it be that way. But the new Yolanda under the Duterte administration should be something better than that of the previous one. Next. So ito yung mga pictures natin, Mr. President, of the new Yolanda that we provided. Okay, next. This one, Mr. President, are the calamities that hit and took place within our administration. And we are very happy because our OCD and DND are very supportive in the releases of funds. Even in the Mindanao earthquake, 3 months thereafter, it happened in November, but in January or February the following year, natapos na natin ang Magsaysay. We have already Magsaysay and Kidapawan. So these are the two major accomplishments we had for Magsaysay, 1,495, Kidapawan, 1,579, and ongoing 1,121. All of these, Mr. President, are ongoing. Digos, Bansalan, Malalag, Hagonoy, Matanao, Sulok. And recently, we got our share from the endorsement of Secretary Delfin Lorenzana for the release of the funding for Makilala, Tulunan, Arakan, Magpet, and Blang, which the board, through our chair, Ed Rosario, approved yesterday for the release of the funds intended for these municipalities. You were in Blang and Tulunan, Mr. President. You also gave an instruction to me. Another calamity that took place during our administration is the Taal, but we also responded. A total of 2,558 units. We have already allocated 600 units in Ibaan. This is the Seabreeze residences. And now ongoing projects for Taal, Talisay, Residences Phase 1, Talisay Residences Phase 2. These are all ongoing projects right now. And we have proposed projects which also the OCD favorably endorsed to your office. The Build Back Better, Mr. President, is up and well. So this was early last year, so we are on the track already. For Region 5, there are 2 projects bidded out. The Tobacco Housing Project Phase 1, expected to generate 966 units. Tobacco Housing Project 2, expected to generate 1,395 units. Upcoming 9 projects for Region 5 and 5 projects for Region 2. So these are all for Typhoon, Quinta, Ulysses, and Rolly victims of the calamity. The Emergency Housing Assistance Program. Ito yung program, Mayor, that we have also revised. It used to be HOMA in the past, Housing Assistance, Housing Material Assistance. But the problem with housing materials is that you need to bid, you need to procure, then the needs of every family vary from one situation to another. The credit goes to Senator Bong because it was him who initiated the AHAP. So I was just trying to coin the word AHAP. This is a direct, quick, faster and quicker response to identified families. So we are giving 5,000 to 30,000. Whenever there are disasters such as landslides, fires, storm surge, typhoons, and other calamities, depending upon the degree, Mayor, or Mr. President, of the damage, from 10%, 20, 30, 40, up to 100%, so you get the equivalent ratio or the equivalent amount of the damage in terms of peso value. So you have 5,000 to 30,000. Right now, we already provided 115,649 beneficiaries already that have received the AHAP. We call this AHAP. The amount disbursed, obligated and disbursed, is already 1.3 billion. We still have amount within our funds available which are due for disbursement again whenever there are calamities and other disasters that we don't pray to happen actually. Next. So these are some of the photos, Mr. President, of the AHAP distribution nationwide. So there is no selective distribution. Whenever we see, we hear over the news that there are disasters that hit a certain barangay, particularly fire, landslide, storms, typhoons, we normally respond in the next 3 days after the qualification assessment. Then AHAP will be distributed already to help at least mitigate the impact of the disaster to our Filipino families. Next, I will not discuss anymore no Marawi. It was covered by our secretary. Then finally, next. Then we're just proud to say, Mr. President, that right now, from 2016 to 2021 of June, we have 336,493 housing units assistance completed, 63,366 resettlement program, government employees program, the APPNP, which is close to your heart, and the housing program for calamity victims of 104,135, and the settlements upgrading, and plus the AHAP of our coordination with the office of Senator Bong, the 115,649. NHA, Mr. President, will be expiring our charter. Because remember, 1975, when it was created by President Ferdinand E. Marcos, it will expire on 2025. So as early as today, it is incumbent upon myself, morally, legally, to cross the next 50 years of our existence. So right now, the bill is already with Congress, the House of Representatives and the House of Senate, sponsored by Sen. Bong, Sen. Tol, and Senator Bato in the House of Senate. And the House of Representatives is sponsored by Kong Kiko, Kong Reda Robes, and Kong Paul Daza. So we hope that for the next 50 years, our tagline under your administration will be this: we will continue to construct quality homes and hopefully we build better lives from 2025 to 2075. Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening.
It was a very splendid presentation. Alam mo, may sabihin lang ako, I might not be able to say it at some other time for one reason or another. Gusto ko lang magpasalam sa inyong dalawa ni Ed for helping me, and you've done a great job. It exceeded my expectations actually. So, kung ano man yung whatever I might have accomplished during my presidency, I could not have done it without you. So I'm so very grateful. Just like this afternoon, salamat and for joining me. Ikaw, GM, mayor pa ako sa Davao. Ang galing ninyo.